This is the story of Tobit son of Tobiel, son of Hananiel, son of Aduel, son of Gabbael. He belonged to the family of Asiel of the tribe of Naphtali. During the reign of Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, Tobit was taken into captivity from 𝗧്ബി, which is south of Kadesh Naphtali in Upper Galilee, above Asher towards the west, and north of Phagor. I, Tobit, have tried to live a life of truth and justice. I performed many good deeds not only for my relatives but also for other captives who were with me in the city of Nineveh in Assyria. When I was a young man in my own country of Israel, the entire tribe of my ancestor Naphtali deserted the king who sat on the throne of David. They also deserted Jerusalem, the city where the temple, God's dwelling place, was built and dedicated as a holy place for all generations forever. All the tribes of Israel had been instructed to offer their sacrifices in Jerusalem. Instead, my relatives and the entire tribe of Naphtali offered sacrifices on all the mountains of Galilee to the calf that King Jeroboam of Israel had made in Dan. So I alone went to Jerusalem for the frequent festivals, as all Israel was commanded to do. I would bring with me the first crops of the harvest, the firstborn of my flocks, the first wool from the sheep, and 1/10 of my income. I would give these to the priests, Aaron's descendants, as a sacrifice. In addition, I would give tithes of grain, wine, olive oil, pomegranates, figs, and other fruits to the Levites who were on duty in Jerusalem. Also, I would save a second tithe for 6 years and would distribute it in Jerusalem. Then every third year I would give a third tithe to orphans, widows, and those who had converted to Judaism, and we would eat a feast as required by the law of Moses. We also followed the instructions given by my father's mother, Deborah, who raised me after my father, Tobiel, died and left me an orphan. When I came of age, I married Anna, a relative of mine, and we had a son, whom I named Tobiah. After I was taken captive to Nineveh in Assyria, all my relatives and people ate Gentile food, but I refused to eat any such food. And because I obeyed God with all my heart, the Most High brought me to the attention of King Shalmaneser, who made me his purchasing agent. As long as the king lived, I went frequently to Media to buy supplies. One time I left 340 kilograms of silver in the care of my relative Gabbael, the brother of Gabri. When Shalmaneser died and his son 𝗬nci𝗶 became king, the roads to Media were difficult to travel. During the reign of Shalmaneser, I was able to do many good deeds for my relatives and my people. I shared my food with the hungry and clothed the naked. Whenever I saw the dead body of one of my people thrown outside the walls of Nineveh, I would bury it. One time 𝗬nci𝗶 had to retreat from Judea because the King of Heaven was punishing him for speaking blasphemous things. In his anger, 𝗬nci𝗶 put to death many of the captives from Judea, but I stole the bodies and buried them secretly. When 𝗬nci𝗶 looked for the bodies, he could not find them. One day someone from Nineveh told the king what I was doing. When I realized that the king knew all about me and wanted to put me to death, I became afraid and fled for my life. All my property was taken from me and put in the royal treasury. All that was left to me was my wife, Anna, and my son, Tobiah. But less than 40 days later, the king was murdered by 2 of his sons, who escaped into the mountains of Ararat. He was succeeded by his son Esarhaddon, who appointed my nephew Ahikar, my brother Hanel's son, to be his chief accountant and administrator. 𝗧்cie𝗂𝗍 put in a good word for me, and I was able to return to Nineveh. 𝗧்cie𝗂 had been Sennacherib's chief cupbearer, guardian of the king's seal, administrator, and treasurer. When 𝗧்cie𝗂𝗍 became king, he reappointed 𝗧்cie𝗂 to office. As I said, 𝗧்cie𝗂 was my nephew, and so he was a close relative. So when 𝗧்cie𝗂𝗍 became king, I returned home to live with my wife, Anna, and my son, Tobit. It was Pentecost, the festival of harvest, and a fine dinner was prepared for me. When I saw all the food laid out on the table, I said to Tobit, "My dear son, go and find a poor, sincere worshipper from among the Israelite captives here in Nineveh. Bring him home to share this dinner, and we will wait until you come back." Tobit had hardly left when he returned. "Father," he exclaimed. "What is it, my son?" I replied. Tobit said, "One of our people has been strangled, and his body was dumped in the marketplace. I hurried from the table without touching my food and found the body. I carried it back from the public square and put it in an outbuilding until I could bury it after sunset. Then I returned to my own house, washed myself, and ate my meal in sorrow. As I ate, I thought of the prophecy of Amos against Bethel. I will turn your celebrations into times of mourning, and your songs of joy will be turned to weeping." Then I wept. At sunset, I dug a grave and buried the dead man. But my neighbors ridiculed me. Will he never learn? He had to run away the last time he did such a thing. And here he is burying the dead again. That same night I washed myself and went to bed along the inside wall of the courtyard. Because it was a hot night, I left my face uncovered. I did not know there were sparrows on the wall until their droppings fell into my eyes, causing cataracts. I went to the doctors to be healed, but the more they treated me with ointments, the worse my vision became. Finally, I was totally blind. I remained blind for 4 years. During this time, my relatives grieved for me, and my nephew 𝗧்cie𝗂 took care of me for 2 years until he went to Elymas in Persia. My wife, Anna, supported us by making cloth. Each time she delivered to her employers what she had made, they paid her. On a certain day in late winter, she finished a piece of work and took it to her employers. When they paid her in full for the cloth, they also gave her a young goat from their herd. As soon as she returned home, the goat began to bleat. I called out to her, "Where did you get that goat? You didn't steal it, did you? Give it back to its owners, for we cannot eat stolen food." She replied, "It was given to me as a bonus over and above what I earned." But I did not believe her. I became angry and told her to take the goat back. She answered, "And you're supposed to be a man of charity and righteous deeds. Now your true character is coming out." I was struck with grief over my actions. I groaned and wept, and in my sadness, I began to pray. "You are just, O Lord, and all your deeds are right. Your ways are merciful and true. You judge the world. Remember me, Lord, and look upon me with kindness. Do not punish me for my sins, both known and unknown, or for the sins of my ancestors. They sinned against you and disobeyed your commandments. So you gave us up to be plundered, captured, and killed. We became a laughing stock and an object of scorn and derision when you scattered us among the nations. I admit the justice of your many judgments. You are completely right to punish my sins and the sins of my ancestors. For we have not kept your commandments, and we have not walked in your way of truth. Now deal with me as you please. Command that my spirit be taken from me so that I may die and become dust. It is better that I should die than live, because I have had to endure undeserved insults and lies, and I am overwhelmed with grief. O Lord, command that I be freed of this misery so that I can go to my everlasting home. O Lord, do not turn your face from me. It is better for me to die than to experience so much anguish in my life and to hear insults. On the very same day, at Ecbatana in Media, Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was insulted by one of her father's servant girls. Sarah had been married to 7 husbands, each of whom had been killed by the evil demon Asmodeus before any of the marriages had been consummated. The servant said to her, "You are the one who kills your husbands. You have already had 7 husbands and no children from any of them. Why do you punish us? Because your husbands died. Go with them. We never want to see a son or daughter of yours." Sarah was in deep anguish because of these insults. She went upstairs in tears, intending to hang herself. But she thought about it again and said, "People would reproach my father and say, 'Your only beloved daughter killed herself because of her troubles.' And I would bring my father in his old age down to his grave in sorrow. It is better for me not to hang myself but to pray to the Lord to let me die. Then I won't have to hear these insults anymore." So she spread out her hands at the window and prayed, "I praise you, God of mercy. I praise your name forever. May all your creation praise you forever. To you, O Lord, I turn my face and lift my eyes. Command that I be allowed to die, never more to hear insults. You know, O Master, that I am innocent of any impurity with a man. I have disgraced neither my name nor the name of my father in this land of captivity. I am my father's only child. There is no one else to be his heir. My father has no relatives I can marry. 7 husbands of mine have already died, so why should I live? But if you do not want to take my life, O Lord, at least hear me concerning these insults." At that very moment, the prayers of both Sarah and Tobit were heard in the glorious presence of God. Raphael was sent to answer their prayers for healing. He was going to heal Tobit's eyes so that he might once again see God's light. He also would arrange the marriage of Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, to Tobiah son of Tobit, and would free Sarah from the demon Asmodeus. For Tobiah, more than anyone else who wanted her, was entitled to marry her. Tobit returned from the courtyard into his house at the same moment that Sarah came down from the upper room.